All right. Hello, everybody. This is Lorenzo Fon sitting here with...
Kevin Horde. How you doing?
Good. Yourself, yeah?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Can't complain. Got a little bit of a headache, kind of stuffy today, so I apologize for that. But we're here to
Sound
talk
fine to
Clone
me.
Wars, so...
Yeah. How's the weather over on your end?
It's been back and forth. It was, I don't know, close to 80 a few days ago, and tomorrow morning we're supposed to have frost.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's real fun.
So
Anyways, you are listening to These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For. We are on episode 12 for ourselves. We will be discussing season 1, episode 4 of the Clone Wars. Destroy Malevolence.
correct.
Yep. It's an episode that aired on October 17th, way back in 2008.
Yep.
So, where we are, this is the last of the trilogy of episodes, I guess, regarding the Malevolence.
Yeah, we had just kind of a 3-episode story arc for this ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at the end of the last one, Anakin and the Shadow Squadron, I believe they were called.
I believe you are correct with that.
They meant to go destroy the bridge of the Malevolence, hoping to take down Grievous with the ship. But then the ship was powering up its super weapon, which is the ion cannon thingy.
Correct.
And Anakin took the Y-Wings to go bomb the weapon instead, saving the rest of the medical frigate is what was happening.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, because the medical facility was under attack.
Mm-hmm.
It was what do we call it? The Space VA hospital or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
So.
The floating VA hospital that had like one Camino in on it.
Correct.
Looking over everybody. Yeah.
Correct.
So in this episode, the Jedi are basically pursuing the Malevolence after it kind of took a beating in that episode.
Yeah, this one seems to fall into place immediately after the last episode, Shadow of Malevolence.
Mm-hmm.
So at least logically, that's what you would think. Some of the stuff that kind of happens in this feels like there's a time gap. The way that characters are talking to each other. But we can get more into that as we go along through the plot.
Yeah. Definitely when it starts off, because the newsreel narration it's pretty fast in this one. It's pretty much just recapping the last episode.
Yeah, that's exactly what I got. Is it recaps only the last episode and then it jumps straight into this one. So,
And the fortune cookie for this one, by the way, is a plan is only as good as those who see it through.
what the fuck does that mean?
It's not the plan that's good or bad. It's following through and the enactment of the plan. Yeah.
Supposedly. So if I have a shitty plan, but I'm good at executing plans, then the plan will then be good instead, as opposed to someone that starts with a good plan but can't follow directions.
I think the inherent worth of the plan is still to be regarded, but it's sort of like if you have like a really good team and all the best intentions, but there is just one guy
Right.
who is a fucker that just doesn't want to do shit,
Right.
It's to me basically, in other words, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, right?
Okay.
But regarding plans and the actual throughput, yeah.
Hmm.
So you could, so if you have a shitty plan and you see through the shitty plan really well, you're still seeing through really well a shitty plan.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I'm taking this one. Yeah.
Okay.
So
You've convinced
the other
me. My original thought was that this fortune cookie is bullshit, but
no,
we'll take it for what it is. So.
yeah. So the other detail that kind of gets brought up is the Malevolence has lost its shield and reinforcements, but it's so big that the Jedi aren't really able to take it down despite the barrage of firepower they're throwing at it.
Correct. We start this episode on the bridge of one of three good guy Star Destroyers, which seems to be Plo Koon's ship. This is kind of what I got out of it, because he's always on the bridge there.
Yeah.
And so somebody says, what's up with the Malevolence, and that is the report that they get. So immediately on the bridge of this ship, we see Obi-Wan, Plo Koon, and Yularen.
Yes. And then we do jump fairly quickly over to the Malevolence, and on that end, Grievous is there. Dooku does the hologramming in,
right,
but then before that, the droids give us a report from the Malevolence that that the weapons, the hyperdrive, and the forward thrusters are all damaged.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that the clone officer giving this report to Plo and Obi-Wan and Yularen didn't say anything about the weapon. Like, if you had seen this episode without seeing the other two, it doesn't talk anything about this super secret weapon, this giant ion cannon. It just, it just kind of looks like a normal old ship.
It's just another ship.
It's just another ship. But, I don't know, it's bizarre, because what makes it special is the fact that it used to have this thing. That's why...
Yeah. That's why they were very protective of it for a while.
Right, that's why everybody didn't just fucking abandon ship and, like, see you later. Fuck it, we'll get another one. So...
Yeah, that's why Grievous is kind of still on there, despite being one of the bigger kahunas of that side, I guess.
Right, correct. So far.
Yes, yeah. So Dooku calls in with a plan for a trap for the Jedi, yeah?
Yeah, he says he's got... I think he basically just says, hey, I got a plan. We're gonna do this thing. He doesn't really explain it too much in depth, right? We don't find out exactly what the plan is until later.
Yeah, he just explains that it's a trap, essentially. He says that... He says... I forgot exactly how he worded it, but somebody is being sent in.
Yeah. There's, like, bait being sent in, essentially.
Yeah. So the Jedi are unaware of any of this. And then from there, we immediately jump over to Senator Amidala with C-3PO and her ship, yeah?
Okay, we did skip one thing, and that so Plo Koon is like, all right, since this fucking ship is too big for us to blow up, like, we need reinforcements, and then in walks Anakin and Ahsoka. And he's like, that's why I'm here. And then they're talking to him about Luminara Unduli, and whether or not he talked to her, and apparently she's close by, but busy, so she couldn't make it. And then that's when we jump over to the Malevolence, and then, which brings us up to where we are now with Padme.
Yeah.
One thing about this episode is it fucking jumps back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, like, so many times.
Yeah.
So many more times than we've seen in the past. So that is something to be said.
Yeah, because basically we have three different groups of people with Senator Amidala and C-3PO entering the fray.
Correct.
And that's if we just ignore that Dooku is coming in from somewhere, right? So we have Grievous on his ship, Yularen and crew, and Jedi on the other.
Right.
Good guy Star Destroyer. Amidala is driving through hyperspace towards a location that she believes is a treaty negotiation with the banking clan.
Yep. That sounds right.
Some sort of treaty thing, yeah.
Yeah, she, like, came to her and says, hey, I need you to go do this thing. Like, if you hurry, you can make it, and I got some good intel that things are going to go in our favor, so I need you to go do that. And so she and 3PO just, like, hop on her silver space teardrop ship thing.
Yeah.
And punch in the coordinates, I guess, and take off.
And they're headed.
And
yeah.
while they're on the way, C-3PO is like, how'd you get this info? Are you sure this is legit? Like, what's going on? This seems fishy. And she's like, no, everything's great. Like, the Chancellor told me. And
yeah.
And his information
must
be
trust.
Good. Right.
Yeah, we can always trust Palpatine. Yeah.
Right.
He's a fellow senator. Yeah. We got to trust him. So.
Right, exactly. But, how does that work out for them?
So basically, as soon as they show up, they're right outside of the, they're right outside the Malevolence.
Yeah, like nose to nose.
Oh, yeah. Which is really weird because the Malevolence is heading a certain direction. We don't exactly know where it's headed. We just know it's away from other crew, from the Jedi.
Yeah, so
right?
What we've got going on with the Malevolence and the 3 Republic cruisers in Plo's little triptych of ships is similar to what was going on in The Last Jedi, where we got a ship with no hyperdrive. The Malevolence has no hyperdrive. I know they had a hyperdrive in The Last Jedi. They just didn't use it because then they'd run out of fuel or something.
And they could be tracked.
So we got the Malevolence just kind of slowly lumbering away. And we've got these other 3 ships following it and shooting it up the butt the whole time.
Yeah.
So they're going in one direction, and Padme, whatever hyperspace route she is on, like, comes in the other direction.
Yeah.
And so they're all of a sudden nose to nose. She's got to do some swerving and fancy flying to not just smash into the ship.
Yeah, but when she punches in those coordinates, that's not where the ship was. So how does Dooku / Palpatine know where it's going to be for her to punch in those coordinates?
Yeah, and why is where the Malevolence is why is that where the banking clan's going to be? Supposedly?
Yeah, because she doesn't bring up where they're going to specifically in terms of like street crossings or anything. She just goes, "Oh, we're gonna meet the banking clan,"
right?
And then there's not too much around them, right? Like there is a moon.
Correct, and this is the dead moon of Antar. So this was a moon that orbited the planet of Antar, located in the Prindar system. This is on the edge of the galaxy's inner rim, in grid square N12 of the standard galactic grid, whatever that means.
So if it's inner rim, it sounds like it could be a feasible place to meet up somewhere, right? Like,
right. I'm actually gonna look into Antar really quick, and see if I can give you an update on where this place is.
Yeah, like what are its neighboring planets per se? Yeah.
It does not say. The blurb on Antar is shorter than the introduction for the dead moon of Antar.
Well then. So anyway, yeah, because everything we know about hyperdrives and hyperspace travel is that you have to like punch in a bunch of coordinates, or you punch in a coordinates and there's a bunch of calculations happening to make sure that you're not going to fly through something.
Right, because celestial bodies move, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the computer needs to do some calculations and checking star maps and stuff like that to make sure that the road that you want to take doesn't go through something else.
Yeah.
So if our roads here on planet Earth could move around and buildings could be built in them or other things, that would be what would happen, because you're not navigating while you're in hyperspace, you do all the navigating pre going into hyperspace. So you need to lay out the route to make sure that everything is good so that you don't smash into something on the way, because that would end your trip real quick.
So if she punched in a coordinate that was like 1 kilometer further, would it have denied her knowing the ship was there, or would it just been okay and then she would have just crashed to the ship?
So I think there are like specific entrance exit portals, shall we say, for hyperspace, maybe. But as we were trying to figure this out, I came up with what could be a solution. So since the Malevolence is like slowly running away, right? And we see this moon the entire time, right?
Yeah.
So I think what it's doing is just circling the moon.
Okay.
Until it can get its hyperdrive operational again. At which point, as long as Amidala hyperspaced to this moon, they're going to get to her eventually. So she will be in the vicinity to fall into the trap. It's just hyper convenience that she came out right in front of the ship. Yeah. Right in front of the Malevolence.
Do you want to explain, once she shows up, what does happen to her ship?
So Ahsoka, who seems to be the only one that's actually doing anything other than standing around chit-chatting on the bridge, sees that this ship pops up. And I guess she does a quick scan, and she's like, oh, it's a ship from Naboo. At this point, Obi-Wan's like, all right, everybody, like, stop fire, cease fire. Yeah. Right, we got a friendly out here. Ahsoka's able to shoot a little radio wave over to her and start asking her questions, and finds out who she is. You know, she's like, oh, it's me, Padme. And then Anakin's like, Padme? And then they have a sweet little, oh, I'm scared love chat going on in front of everyone. And Padme says why she's there, and they're like, well, what the fuck are you doing here? You're in the middle of a battle zone. And then she gets grabbed by a tractor beam from the Malevolence, because Dooku does his little chuckle and rubs his hands together and is like, the bait is here.
Dooku or Grievous?
Grievous, sorry. Not Dooku.
I was going to say, I don't remember if Dooku was still transmitting, which,
no, he
again,
was not.
He has nothing else to do.
He pops in and out 2 or 3 times this episode, and that's it.
Yeah. It's mostly a Grievous show, yeah.
It makes Grievous look a little bit incompetent. But other than that, you know, Dooku's cool. He can come in and chit-chat every now and again if he wants. But so we've got like a multi-way conversation going here, and essentially Padme's ship gets taken into the Malevolence and sucked into a docking bay. So at that point, Anakin's all freaking out, like, we gotta go save her. And I do have one little note. When they're talking back and forth, Anakin makes this fist, and you can totally hear that leather like stretch and as his fist closes, kind of
crimping in,
which they do with Kylo Ren.
Oh yeah,
it's a big thing in The Force Awakens, like as he's making bringing his fingers in nice and slow to make this fist, you can hear the squeak and creak of the leather. So oddly enough, in this episode, I saw a whole bunch of stuff that was paralleled in either the 2 movies or just kind of the movies in general. Because like we got this creepy crawl chase going on between the good guy Star Destroyers and the Malevolence, which mirrors what's going on in The Last Jedi. We got this super slow fist close, grippy flexing of the hand thing where you can hear this leather noise, which happens with Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens. Did I say The Force Awakens on that last thing with the ships? Because that was The Last Jedi.
I think you said Jedi. You said Last Jedi.
Cool. Yeah, and then some other things that I can point out along the way. A couple of them might be a little bit of a stretch, but
All right.
that's all right. So yeah, Padme has been captured. So Grievous goes down to find her on these little trains. They're kind of like subways, right?
Yeah, they're like open air subways. They're called rail jets. They're referred to as in the episode.
Okay.
But what's funny is, so when it stops, I don't know who calls the rail jet to stop,
Uh-huh.
but it docks up against a giant opening,
Right.
almost like
Like
the way, yeah, like a subway would do it.
Right, like a
but almost
subway
more,
platform.
Yeah, so it just rolls up. There's not even a door to begin with,
Nope.
so Grievous just walks on. But there's still like the innocuous announcer, like the railjet is now departing. It says something. I didn't catch exactly what it said, but I don't know
I caught it.
what it's there for. Yeah, go ahead.
It says, now arrived at rail substation 94. So she's in docking bay 94,
Okay.
which is from A New Hope.
Okay. But then it's just weird that, generally speaking, there's no passengers on these things. It doesn't look like it because it's just Grievous.
No, but they are fucking moving all the time, and there's more than one of these. There's multi-levels of rail, right?
Yeah.
And there are trains full of fucking cargo going nonstop back and forth all over the place.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of cargo that's being ported, but you don't need to tell the cargo where it's at. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a good point.
Right? Like, we don't. I would have felt better if we saw a lot of the trains zooming by with like a bunch of droids on it, or something, right? Because in the first episode, I think we discussed how big the ship is, and it makes sense.
Yeah, it's
from
huge.
a logistical standpoint. Yeah, from a logistical standpoint, to have some sort of fast people mover,
Right.
to just transport where you got to go. But we don't see that with these. We only see a few open platforms, but there's nobody riding them, or there's a lot of other ones that have cargo on them.
Right.
So that's why the announcer telling Grievous where he's leaving from and where he's headed to and where he's arrived
Right.
is really bizarre to me.
So the voice of that announcer is Matthew Wood, who is the same guy that does the voice of Grievous.
Interesting.
That's his name, right? Matthew Wood.
I don't know.
He was like an assistant to Ben Burt, I guess, at some point in time, and then got the role of Grievous in Revenge of the Sith, and then just carried over that role into.
Kept doing it in Clone Wars.
Yep.
Interesting.
So he's not the guy that did it in the Gendy Tarkovsky Clone Wars.
That's interesting. So they recasted it for the movie, essentially?
Yeah.
That's, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that more to get you some solid people names on that one. As a refresher, the Malevolence is 4,800 meters long. So that's fucking long.
What do we say, like a few miles or something like that?
Yeah, so I mean 5K is 3.1 miles. So
Yeah.
1,600 meters is a mile, so that's 32 and another 14. I mean, it's pushing 3 miles long.
Yeah.
That thing's huge.
So, so the idea of some sort of light rail system
Uh-huh.
makes sense. The announcer is where it loses me. You know,
So,
I'm not saying it destroys all illusion or anything. I'm just like, it was just a weird little touch, you know, like
that came from Dave Filoni himself. Was
Yeah.
like, all right, Wood, we need something. Like, I think this would be hilarious if we put these. I think he thought it was funny.
Is it like an airplane reference or something? Like
No, it's
the
just like
white zone is.
it's just like a Subway reference.
But even subways don't do that.
Mm.
Like, I don't know. The ones I've been like in Chicago, they don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I watched the behind the scenes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the season 3 DVD.
Yeah.
This is a season 3, right?
No, this is season 1. We're in season 1, episode 4.
Oh, jeez. So the season 1 DVDs have not only do they have like director's cuts that are extended episodes, but they also have every single episode has a little. It's not even like director's commentary because it's not commentary over the episode, but it's just like a mini, I guess like a vignette, which is generally Dave Filoni and somebody else talking. They just kind of talk about the episode, which is where I got this info on why this announcer's there. And then it's also often got like one of the designers, because he talks about design production and why things look the way they do. So they're like,
I just like the idea that of all the things for them to talk about, they talk about the announcer in this episode, like, and why it's there.
because Dave Filoni liked
Just really
the
liked the
idea,
idea.
and
All right.
they start by talking about having this rail system in the Malevolence because the place is too big to just walk around, and
Yeah.
I guess they just didn't want to use turbo lifts. They wanted like another option. Cause
Yeah, like lateral movement makes sense.
uh-huh.
Because otherwise, we usually just, like on the Death Star, we only really see like lifts, or we see like the big old airport go-karts thing, the golf cart things, right?
Are those on the Death Star?
That's a good question now.
Like
don't
I remember seeing
But
one.
they exist, right?
Yeah, I remember seeing one in like Echo Base maybe. But I don't remember seeing like a multi-person golf cart on the Death Star. You see people marching around for sure.
That is a good question. Well, I'll have to keep an eye out for how people are moving around under the Death Star.
Yeah. Do we got any
Huh.
Death Star experts out there
Yes.
that can
Also,
correct
somebody
us?
who's in Chicago, please correct me if I'm wrong about if subways have announcements or not. Maybe it's just because I'm always drowning them out. So
Yeah. I don't know.
I feel
'Cause
maybe
that's
the
like-
LA ones do. The LA ones, I think, might have it because nobody knows how to use public transit in LA. So
Because they make in this episode that same announcer like not only makes this Docking Bay 94 reference, but it's also like mind the gap
oh yeah, yeah,
as Grievous is getting off the ship, getting off the rail.
the rail, yeah.
So speaking of Grievous, we can get back on track a little bit.
So he's headed towards Padme.
Correct.
But Padme abandons her ship essentially
Yes, she
with C-3PO.
Yes, she says that she is overloading the ship's power supply, right?
Yeah.
And then did you notice how they get out of the ship? They like sneak out through where the landing gear comes down instead of just like walking down the fucking ramp. So I don't know if this was
yeah.
to hide the fact that they were
They didn't want to
abandoning the
show
ship or what?
Yeah, because they didn't want Grievous to walk towards the ship and then assume that they had already gotten off.
Yeah, but I mean, they just like when Grievous and the droids get there, they just walk up the ramp and walk in. And there's a droid that's like, "Oh, look, sir, no one's here."
Yeah, but they needed them to get to that point anyways, because like if the ramp is down, they would have been like, and you're walking up towards it, you've been like, oh shit, they left,
Gotcha.
right? So I think that was the idea. Was like if the thing is still up, then they're like, well, they haven't gotten off yet because the door isn't even open,
Yeah, but can't you just get off and close the door?
I don't know how the remote system on these ships works, so
Because
that's a good point.
Because otherwise, any time you left your ship, you would have to like leave
The
it
door's
like,
just wide open.
Like I'm going to the grocery store and I get out of my car and I just have to leave the fucking car doors open.
Maybe it's like a slow lift gate, and she knows it, so
Beep, beep,
time is of the
beep.
essence. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So
maybe time is of the essence, so they just gotta make their way off.
So next question.
Yes.
Is it normal for vehicles or ships to have access from the main cabin, cargo compartment, bridge, or other interior of the ship to get out through the landing gear? Because when I'm in my car, I cannot like climb in the back seat and then climb out the wheel well.
No, but think of it more of like on an airplane. There's a way to go through the floor into the stowage, right?
Okay.
Like there's gonna be a way to open a panel or two and find yourself down in the belly with the luggage, and then maybe just another door or two.
Right.
To the where the landing gear pops into.
Right.
Right.
Okay. I will accept that.
Yeah. Yeah, the car is a little too small for that, but I'm sure there's a way if you wanted to just pry a few panels open to get to that wheel, so.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe in the front. I don't know. I drive a truck, so there's
So-
like a whole big distance between the cab and the rear wheels.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I don't know.
I've taken apart my dashboard once on my Prius, and it was just a lot of wires. That's all it was,
yes, I saw
Saw
pictures.
saw the steering shaft really quickly. So, there wasn't much keeping me between the engine and myself. So, yeah. But anyway, so moving back on, so Grievous is on the ship. There's the one droid that kind of notices that it's empty and makes even a comment or like, "Oh, the thing looks like it's gonna blow," and then
And Grievous
proceeds
straight
to
just
stand
like
there.
knocks these two fucking droids out the way and takes off running,
Oh yeah,
which is
yeah.
hilarious.
Every man for himself, and they make like a weird snide comment where they're like, "That was rude," and proceed to keep standing there, even though one of them just mentioned exactly why Grievous would run off the ship. So,
Right. There's definitely a lot of snarky droid comments in this episode.
Yes, there are.
And as we get further and further into this thing, there is so much dialogue of convenience where it's like these droids are like, "Oh shit, this ship looks like it's gonna blow up," and then guess what happens? The fucking ship blows up.
Yeah.
This happens over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So I guess later you'll find out whether or not we like that or not.
But also, why didn't Grievous notice it? Like he's a goddamn general, right?
Yeah, but he seems kind of like a fucking idiot. Like this whole episode.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. But how do you make general and not notice like the flashing panel, the giant red warning light on it? Like I can't drive out of my driveway, even if I put like a heavy backpack on my passenger seat and it registers as a human.
Mm-hmm.
The fucking seatbelt thing goes off,
Right.
It's not like I'm missing it, right?
Yeah.
But Grievous here, there's a flashing signal saying, "Hey, your ship is about to motherfucking blow up. You might want to fix this."
I think he was just looking for Padme, like, maybe she's hidden under here. He was using all of his senses to detect whether or not the bait was in the. I keep calling her bait, but that's not what they call her. She's not bait. She's
The trap or the...
the trap.
At first, she's the trap, which I don't know if that sounds better or worse.
She's a trap queen.
That's why. Yeah, no.
That was for you, Lorenzo.
So, anyway, so the ship blows up, which means this is like what, the second ship she's lost recently?
Yeah, did
After
she
Attack
blow
of
up
the
her other
Clones.
one?
Well, somebody blew it up, right?
Yeah,
Did it get blown up entirely?
I don't remember.
At the beginning of Attack of the Clones, when like her maiden is
yeah,
like,
yeah. That one's donezo.
That one's
gone.
done, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Corday
Like, I'm
did
sorry,
her
I
duty
failed
and
you.
blew up with the
Yeah.
ship. So
Yeah.
there should have been a handmaiden on this ship to like fucking go down.
Shouldn't there be
go
a
down
few?
with the ship?
Yeah, what's the rules with her handmaidens? Like,
I don't think there are any handmaidens. Well, I will just say there definitely have not been any handmaidens in the Clone Wars yet.
yeah. So where did they go? If she still had them at the beginning of Attack of the Clones, but she's not a queen still anymore.
Right.
But frickin' Rachel Byrne, or what's her? Yeah, Rachel Byrne. Rose Byrne. Sorry, Rose Byrne shows up as a frickin' handmaiden. You know.
Yeah.
When Anakin shows back up, sitting all down next to them, even though she has nothing to do with the conversation.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I got nothing for you on that one.
So where are they?
They're just gone between episode 2 and episode 3.
They went on strike.
Yeah, between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith.
They unionized and
maybe the Queen was like, dude, Padme, like, I can't keep giving you more fucking handmaidens because all of yours keep dying. Like,
yeah.
At some point in time, you're not allowed to fucking adopt a puppy anymore, you know?
Yeah, you keep killing the goldfish, we're not getting you a puppy. So
right, exactly.
So the next thing I want to point out, back onto the droids,
yes,
is that the ship is on fire.
Yes.
In the hangar.
Yes.
And there are 2 droids that run out that have firefighter markings on them.
Yes, I thought they were fucking hilarious.
You thought they were hilarious. I was just confused on the fact that their one job is to firefight.
And they're terrible at it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the droids can't shoot at Jedi, which is one of their main tasks. The ones that are meant to firefight can't even operate a hose without flying all over the place.
Right.
Like one of them turns it on too strongly and just starts like flailing around, like still holding onto the thing.
Yeah, it's like when you're, like 10 years old and you're helping your dad wash the car and you just like are fucking around with a hose or whatever, and then you become disinterested and you just let it go and it's like flailing around in your driveway, spraying everything.
Yep.
Like
so
in the
that's
window
what's
of the
happening with the
car
droids.
and shit like that.
Yep.
But it has a firefighter droid on the end of it.
Yep. That's still making like the same screams as they would normally. Like, ah, like just all over the place. Water's getting everywhere.
I thought they were great.
See, I am just confused about these droids still.
They're firefighter droids.
So then, playing this out, did the ship ever stop being caught on fire? Would it have just spread to the rest of the ship? Like, what's going on here?
Nah, there's a lot of metal there. I think that it was just like an explosion that was going to put itself out. Yeah,
a self-contained fire right there.
Yeah,
like
it's
bring out the marshmallows. You'd be fine.
It's not gonna like catch the drapes on fire or anything.
Okay.
But honestly, I would have thought that there was just like some type of fire suppression system built into the fucking ship. So, like,
it's weird because they were getting their water from some sort of a wide hydrant. It wasn't a little hydrant. It was like a wide console almost.
Okay.
I noticed it for a second.
Yeah, I missed that.
It was it based on the droids. It looked like it would have been like somewhere between 3 to 5 feet wide.
Okay.
It looked like a small like metallic mushroom almost. It had like a small dome on the top, and the hoses came out of the side.
Yeah, they shouldn't have even been using water anyway. It should have been some type of chemical fire suppression.
Yeah. Some sort of.
But we've seen fire in the live action movies in a docking bay before, and everything ended up hunky dory and dandy and whatever.
Yeah.
So,
So fire isn't a major concern, it seems, on these ships.
no, you would
The big ones, anyways.
You would think that it was, because I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure like lighting a fire inside an
An
oxygen
rich. Yeah.
canister would be a
Yeah.
bad idea. Which
Yeah.
also leads me to a question of. Okay, never mind. I think I figured it out. I was gonna ask why there would be like atmosphere inside the ship anyway.
Yeah, but Grievous still needs to breathe.
Right, Grievous does have lungs.
Yeah, Grievous is still somewhat humanoid of some sort.
Cyborg.
Cyborg mix. Like,
Yep.
I don't know.
He's a cyborg.
Yeah.
He's just an extreme case of a cyborg. So,
Yeah.
but also, whenever Dooku comes to visit, because side note, on Wikipedia, under the Malevolence page, it lists like owners of the ship, and it's Grievous and Dooku.
Oh, they're listed as co-owning it?
Yes.
Interesting.
So.
I'm amazed, yeah, Grievous would have gotten the actual car title for that, so.
So while
But
all
anyway,
this is going on with Padme,
we go back
to Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yep.
And so Anakin just wanders off. And
As he does.
And Obi-Wan's like, where do you think you're going? He was like, well, somebody's got to save her tail.
Mm-hmm.
And so they leave, and then there's a little interaction between Plo and Ahsoka about, oh, that's Anakin, always rushing off, looking for adventure and excitement. And so they get on the Twilight, which is Anakin's ship, even though Jedi do not have possessions. It's cool for him to have his own ship that he stole from somebody.
It's a ship that's assigned to him.
No, he stole it. He fucking stole that shit from the monastery on Teth.
But then it's now
never gave it
owned
back.
by the entirety of the... I'm doing a lot of air quotes right now for the listeners.
There are air quotes galore.
The ship is just in the possession usage of the Jedi overall.
No, it's his.
And this one is assigned to him. That's the only reasoning I can give to that. It's definitely his ship. Yeah. Like he's giving it a paint job essentially next week or something like that. So
yeah, and I would imagine that if he goes like before the Jedi Council, they're like, Yoda would be like, heard a ship you have? I did. And he'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, even though he's got like fuzzy dice in his hand to hang on the fucking rearview mirror.
He's still holding some turtle wax, like,
right. He's got the key fob that he's like cramming in his pocket.
Yeah. He's got some Rain X in the other hand, just ready to go. But anyways, so they get in the Twilight, Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yes.
Obi-Wan asks him of the plan. And
well, at first he says, I assume you have a plan.
Yes.
And Anakin's like, yes. And he goes, okay, well, do you have a backup plan? Because every good plan needs a backup plan. And Anakin goes, no, I haven't thought of that yet. And then Obi-Wan asks, okay, well, what's your plan? Do you want to go through the plan, or do you want me to go through the plan?
Well, Anakin essentially just says that he plans to fly to the Malevolence, and Obi-Wan kind of... Because Obi-Wan kind of brings it up first, right? Obi-Wan is like, what? Are you just planning to fly to the Malevolence and hope nobody notices us? And then Anakin's like, yeah, basically...
Yeah.
Everybody's so concerned with all the other systems being down. They're focusing on the ship not falling apart. That so they're not...
We're going to fly over to the emergency exit, and we're going to go in the back door.
Yeah.
And we're just going to walk in, and we're going to get her.
Let ourselves in.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan is like, I can't believe we're doing this.
So he then recaps said plan.
Yes.
And Anakin's like, yep. And he goes, brilliant. Like,
Yeah.
he's fucking gung-ho ready to go. Like,
It's like, I guess I'm along for this ride.
I don't even... Yeah, the way that I read it was that he was like, hey, this plan's fucking awesome. Like, we don't need a backup plan. Like, this plan is foolproof. He says, so... I think he says, so we're just going to fly over there, go in the back door, hope nobody sees us, and walk in and get Padme. And...
I still saw Obi-Wan as still being a little hesitant about the plan, but it still made sense. He was still understanding Anakin's reasoning for such plan.
Right.
Like, it wasn't full enthusiasm I was reading from him, but it was definitely I have no argument against that, nor do I have a better plan myself. So we will just go with your plan.
Yeah, I think when Anakin walked out of the bridge to head to the Twilight, that Obi-Wan knew, like, I'm gonna tag along. This will be a fun adventure.
Yeah.
So that's what they do. They take off and they head over there and they dock up to the side of the Malevolence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which
there are two more droids.
There are two more droids, and there's like, it cuts to the inside of the Malevolence. There's two droids, and we get kind of a camera shake. And one of the droids is like, hey, did you hear that? And the other one goes, hear what?
Nope.
And then the first droid says, it sounded like somebody just docked to the emergency exit. And then the other droid is like, oh, no one would be stupid enough to do that. So they're making fun of this plan like the whole time. Right? Yeah. And lo and behold, there were a couple of guys stupid enough to do that. They open the door and the droids are there and the droids are like, we're scared. Whatever, And
basically get sliced.
Do they get sliced? Quickly. Does it show it? I thought it just like cut away.
No, they both Anakin and Obi-Wan, because it's like a side shot. They show him kind of stepping through the door,
right?
And Anakin definitely at least gets a couple slices in.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. And then while the door is opening too, there's like a definite callback to Phantom Menace.
Okay.
Where, as they're kind of docking, or I forget exactly where this conversation happens, but Anakin is like, I told you it'd work. And Obi-Wan basically says, well, spinning is not flying.
Oh, yeah. They pop up in the elevator.
Yeah.
Because
Anakin
the droids
goes,
say...
It's a good trick.
Yeah. The droids say the bit about coming in the back door, like, you'd have to be crazy. And then it cuts over to Obi-Wan and Anakin. And Obi-Wan's like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Spinning is not flying. But it's a good trick.
But it's a good trick. Good trick.
That might come back later in this episode.
Yes.
Wink, wink.
That may or may not. Most likely may. So anyways, they get Padme gets a hold of Ahsoka.
Yes.
Back on the good guy.
Sorry to cut you off, but real quick, I've got one tidbit that I learned by watching this behind the scenes shit.
Yeah.
This, like, they come up an elevator and then they're like in a circular room with another circular door, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the exact same room that Padme was in at Zero's place. Like, it's just a different paint job. So since it's a TV show, and as other TV shows do, they reuse elements to save money.
Yeah.
And it's the same exact thing. And I guess this pops up multiple times. They brought up another episode that would have come out. Maybe it would have come out before this. I don't know. But the guy names
the only episode we would have skipped was 10. Actually, no, we've gone in order.
Yeah, but
from
there's
101, 102, 103, 104.
Okay, yeah. So,
because we went straight from Ambush, which was the series pilot, into
correct.
These three. Yep.
Correct. So it might be like downfall of a droid or something like that. But so heads up to all you eagle-eyed listeners out there, you will see this again. And it's the exact same shots, and they just repaint them. Different color.
I'm not against that because at some point, like, doors have a standard size. You know?
Pretty much.
Like, doors are mass-produced, right? Like, oh, there's a different door handle, or you painted your doors white instead of natural wood color.
Right.
So the idea of, like, reusing, like, the circular door and the port that they walk through, by no means, like, yeah, from a production standpoint, that's freaking brilliant to just reuse those elements, but because also that would just be kind of a standardized thing, you know?
Right, and he was also saying that not only that, not only from, or as a cost-cutting method, not only from a production design perspective, but also from the fact that in the Star Wars universe, the companies that are building these ships are going to use some repetitive parts. Like the doors at my house look the same as the doors at your place, right? Mm-hmm. I don't have rectangular doors and you have oval shaped doors just because it's a different building built in a different place.
Yeah, exactly.
So from that point of view, it makes sense as well. Mm-hmm. So I just thought it was a cool little tidbit to bring up that it's essentially a set that we have already seen.
I didn't even notice that at all. Yeah, I didn't notice that at all. Yeah.
So in the future, we'll see this again.
Keep paying attention to the circular door.
Yep.
So anyways, Padme gets a hold of Ahsoka.
Correct.
Who then patches her back to Anakin's wrist communicator.
Correct. And then we've got this three-way conversation between
Padme's
all
like, what
of
are you
them.
doing here? Yeah.
Yes.
There's like, it's a three-way calling, basically. But Ahsoka kind of drops out fairly quickly. It kind of becomes a conversation between Padme and Anakin.
Yes. So Ahsoka essentially locates the both of them and says, I did a scan of the ship, and directly in between you is this area. So go there and meet each other.
Yeah.
But did you see the image of the ship? She's like, I scanned the ship, and she's like looking at it and like pointing at it.
But it's just like a yellow, orange-ish blob, right? Like there's no details.
Yeah, it's a silhouette of the Malevolence in its entirety with like an orange circle right in the middle. Yep.
There's zero details whatsoever. And they're like, oh, this looks like a place to go.
Yep. I wrote, this scan of the ship is useless.
Yep. I did notice that. So, in any case, they make their way towards there.
Correct.
Which I don't get why they need to meet in the middle, because they need to then go back to the ship anyways, to the Twilight.
I think what it was is that it's the easiest way for them to get together so that Anakin and Obi-Wan can make sure that Padme and C-3PO make it safely.
There's protection, yeah.
And I say and C-3PO because you would think that Padme would be more important, but we'll find out here shortly that when C-3PO gets lost, you gotta go find him.
Yep, everybody loves C-3PO.
Right.
So
the place where they end up meeting is essentially a subway station, right? That's the big thing in the big open area in the middle.
It's like the Union Station of subway stations, too. It's like where they all meet. Yeah.
Correct.
It's like Grand Central Station in Midtown, Manhattan.
Correct.
Yeah.
So at this point, Grievous is walking back onto the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And some droids tell him that they intercepted a transmission from inside the Malevolence. And he's like, okay, well, what does it say? And they're like, oh, we don't know that. We found it.
We caught it right at the end.
There is one, but we don't know what it says. So Grievous is pissed, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, Grievous is pissed, and it's like, well, just keep listening. Then what are you guys doing?
Right. Dipshits like,
Yeah,
hey, we noticed somebody made a phone call. Did you listen to it? No.
no, we just saw it was happening. So then, Padme and Anakin and Obi-Wan and C-3PO all essentially get to this Grand Central Station area all at about the same time.
Yes, and they've got
And they
a
don't-
New
yeah.
Hope situation here where they're in the right spot, but they're on different floors.
And then for both of them, they have either they have droids coming up behind them, so they both essentially need to make a slight run for it into the open area of all these rail jets that are floating past. Are they floating? They're floating, right?
No, they're on tracks.
Are they floating above the tracks? That is,
Maybe
Are
like
they
a
connected to the
Magna
tracks?
train.
Yeah,
type
some
deal?
sort. Yeah, some sort of maglev situation.
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe so.
So, yeah, so there are tracks. They're just still potentially floating above them of some sort.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, Padme just straight pushes C-3PO off the fucking platform,
Yeah.
and he bounces off one train, and then so he falls down like essentially what would be like one level, and hits
Yeah.
a train, and then falls off the other side, and like lands on a different train going in the other direction,
Yep.
and then she jumps down onto that one, right?
Onto the first one.
Onto the first one.
Yes.
So now they are on different trains on different levels going in different directions.
Yeah, going in 100% the opposite directions.
Correct. And then at this point, I guess Anakin sees this happen. Is that
Sort of,
he
yeah.
fucking
He sees,
jumps down to the same train that Padme is on?
basically.
And it's
or
like
same
multi-
level. Yeah.
It's like multiple levels down and super
Yeah.
far away. Like, he's a good jumper.
Yeah. So he jumps down, gets on a train that's going the same direction as Padme. They can see each other across the big open space. Obi-Wan slowly makes his way down, I guess, or something like that.
Yeah, he's taking the slow and steady wins the race approach.
Yes. Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
Since Anakin is such a good jumper, do you think that, I don't know, somebody that looks like Anakin could be in a movie called Jumper?
That is very possible, yes.
That would be a good idea, right?
That'd be a good idea. I hope they could execute it. The idea to its full potential.
We'll have to get on that. It'll be about jumping.
I feel like in the wrong hands, it would be executed very aggressively standard. So,
Jumper.
but yeah, there is a thing with Jedi kind of jumping all over the place because in Phantom Menace when like Darth Maul kind of kicks Obi-Wan down a few levels, he makes his way back up,
Yes, he does.
flies
With-
back up.
With super jumps.
Yes. So
maybe Obi-Wan used all his force jumping ability in the Phantom Menace, and he hasn't like restocked that ability with his experience points.
Is it like a Sim status bar that needs to be like replenished via like sleep or?
Yeah, I was thinking more of like a Magic the Gathering like upgrade, like card upgrade.
Okay.
deal,
Okay.
or something. But I'm not really sure. So
Just getting into the grind of things.
yes, or maybe he's saving his force jumping abilities for later when he needs them.
He didn't get the right loot crates from EA.
Correct.
Okay.
He's not a pay to play type of guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yep, he's just going in the grind of things. So anyway, so they get separated, right?
Yes, they get separated. So Anakin jumps onto a neighboring train to Padme, not the train that Padme's on.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of fucking droid jokes and some wordplay. They're like, one of them's like, fire! And this other droid's like, no, don't do that. And then they shoot, like, two of them shoot and immediately get fucking hit with their own blaster bolt. Because that's the Jedi way. Like, reflect them back. And then you see a super battle droid with a fucking cannon for an arm.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't ever remember seeing that before or again. So it blows up the track in front of Padme's train, and she's like, oh no, I'm gonna die. And Anakin's like the next train over, and it's like, just trust me, jump, I'll catch you with the Force. And so they do that.
She floats across.
And that's corny. And
why does she even need to jump? Why can't he just lift her?
Because she's got to feel like she's doing something. Like she's trying.
Yeah,
like,
why can't...
He'll help her, but he won't just, like, save her. Then,
but she's got to start it.
Yeah, she's got to try. Give her some self-worth. I don't really know. So, Obi-Wan tries to grab C-3PO.
Yeah.
This is why she needs to jump. She jumps, Anakin guides her, and Obi-Wan just tries to pick up 3PO and pull him over to where he is, I guess.
Yeah.
Pull 3PO over to where Obi-Wan is.
To the train he's on.
And, and 3PO just gets fucking smashed by a train.
Yep. Another train comes by.
Yes. So, at this point,
so C-3PO gets sent off on a, third different direction at this point?
Yes.
In the last, 2-minute sequence?
Yes. I'm not sure exactly which direction he's going now, but he's going somewhere where he shouldn't. And Obi-Wan radios into Anakin and is like, your fucking droid is lost again. Yeah. And
so Anakin's like, I guess
Anakin
we'll go get
says, all right, I'll go get him.
Mm-hmm.
And Padme's like, no, you can't. Like, I just heard that they're fixing the hyperdrive. And Obi-Wan's like, nah, I'm on that. Like, you get the droid, I'll get the fucking hyperdrive, everything will be golden. So Anakin just radios R2-D2 and is like, dude, go find the droid.
Yeah.
Go find 3PO. Like, you can do it. Whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, I'm sure we gotta be cutting back and forth to fucking Plo at some point, right? No?
I don't recall that. No, I just recall us being in this weird giant
ship
central station for a while.
Yep. So all the train shenanigans happen, and then
because Grievous shows up with a bunch of droids.
Well, so Obi-Wan goes to the hyperdrive control.
Mm-hmm.
And he just, waltzes in like he's going to fucking make sure to turn the thing off. And that's when Grievous shows up with all the droids. There are 3 droidicas, 4 super battle droids, 24 regular battle droids, and 1 Grievous. And Grievous is, on an upper level or something, right? And he jumps down, and he says, hello there. Which is the exact same thing that fucking Obi-Wan does to Grievous.
That's Obi-Wan's line,
in Revenge of the Sith. So I don't know if this is clever or if it's stupid.
It's weird because looking at it from a real world perspective, so the reason you have Ewan McGregor say that in Revenge of the Sith, and the reason you have him say it that way is because that's what he says to R2 in A New Hope, right?
Does he?
Yeah. Hello there.
Hello there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
what you're saying is that
when they find R2,
is that in A New Hope, old Obi-Wan,
when he first takes off
thinking about General Grievous and how Grievous greeted him at a train station one time. And being in a super valley reminded him of being at a train station. And so that's why he says, hello there.
Hello there. That's why his the PTSD is strong. So that's why, from like a real world perspective, the two in the movies make sense. Why it shows up here at this moment,
Right.
that's a little. It's a fun reference to make, but there are implications beyond that, as such as what you've just brought up, right?
Right.
That get a little messy.
Right.
Yo, that's all I got on that one.
So Obi-Wan just talks shit to Grievous, like,
Yeah,
you know,
as he does.
blah blah blah, whatever. And then he uses the exact same move on two different sets of droids, where he just jumps in the middle of these three droidicas and like
Yep.
force pushes one down one ramp, and
Which
it's just
bowling
like,
pins out the rest of the droids that are standing there, like
Yep.
all of them.
yep,
All of them.
and then turns around and does the same thing in the other direction.
Yep.
And then turns a second time and uses the third droidica and fucking pushes it at Grievous.
Yep.
Grievous catches it. Obi-Wan
Stops
just
it.
fucking walks off. He's not even like running.
Yeah.
One other battle droid like fires one bolt off at him,
Uh-huh.
one blaster bolt, and he just easily deflects it, like doesn't even turn around, just like backhands it
Yeah.
back at him. So Grievous again pissed. So he picks up said droidica and just fucking smashes it on the ground, and then this battle droid's like, "Wow, sir, that was pretty impressive." So he just like fucking backhands him or
He backhands him.
Backhands
Backhands
him
his
or
like head.
punches him or something, right?
Well, like he kind of just like raises a fist, right? Like the fist comes out, but it's like the back fist. He doesn't
Right.
he doesn't forward punch this droid. He kind of just
It's like a backhand with a closed fist.
yes, yeah.
So-
Like it's a strong elbowing motion, you know.
Right.
Is it weird to you that when a droidica gets pushed, the shield automatically comes off?
Yes.
Because I noticed that, and I don't know why the shield would come off. But like
Maybe they can't
the
have
result
their
would be the
shield.
same.
Maybe they can't have their shields on when they're in ball form and rolling,
I
because you
guess.
normally like see them roll in, set up on
shield
their
pops
tripods,
on.
and then
Yeah.
the shield like activates.
All right, there might be something to that. But it was just weird that even when it's not of their own doing,
Right.
you know, that like like whatever safety system is there is like, oh shit, we got to turn this fucker off. Like,
Right.
you know, even though we might be in major trouble right now, you know,
Maybe.
but no, shield's got to turn off. So, anyways,
So Obi-Wan easily fucking takes care of that situation.
yeah, it's not. He
Um,
doesn't break a sweat.
We cut back over to Padme and Anakin, and Padme is asking, "What's the plan?" And of course, really, there is no plan. Like
No.
this is as far as the plan went. Was fly there, walk in, find Padme.
Yeah, there wasn't even a plan for getting off. Yeah,
Right. It was
just get Padme.
It was go to the grocery store, walk through the doors, pick up a banana, and then like
As to
you
how
accomplished your
pay-
goal.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I have a banana in my hand, but
Great.
what the fuck, you know?
Now what? Do
you
what
gonna-
with this banana?
Are you gonna buy the banana? Are you gonna eat the banana? Or are you just gonna put the banana back down? Do you even like
there.
bananas?
Yeah. Nope. Just they got it. So anyway, so then Anakin and Padme then start headed to the droids that are fixing the hyperdrive. How did we get to that? Yeah, how did we get that?
We don't get to that section yet, right?
Oh, did I skip? Well, because they're running around for a bit.
Yeah,
And
they're
then-
running around for a bit, and
Because
then
R2 finds C-3PO.
R2 finds C-3PO, and it's fucking hilarious because like C-3PO is wandering around in this hall, like lamenting and talking to himself,
Yeah.
like so woe is me, C-3PO, and this fucking light comes down the hallway, and he's like, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender. And it's just R2.
Yeah.
So then we go back to the bridge. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, you're right. Anakin and Padme. Because
Yeah,
I guess
like they head up an elevator or something like that, and they end up exactly where the hyperdrive stuff is.
so. Obi-Wan and Anakin were chit-chatting over their wrist communicators after he walks away from Grievous unscathed, and then their communication breaks off because, of course, their communications
They're
are
getting
jammed.
jammed.
Right.
Yep.
So that's why Anakin heads up to the bridge.
Okay.
Because I guess Obi-Wan was like, couldn't do it or something.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, I got trapped by Grievous," and then Anakin's like, "I guess I'll do it." Like,
Yep. So they being Anakin and Padme, Pandame, go up to the bridge, and they just walk in. And I feel like the droid said something poignant, like, immediately before they walk in and get destroyed.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I have no memory of that.
I know there was a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they go in. Anakin pretty much just slices and dices.
Anakin does some slicing and dicing and some force spousal abuse,
Yep.
where Padme is like standing in the doorway to the lift.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh no. And he just like fucking shoves her into the elevator and closes the door. Like, this. Is there like a force cushion? Like, if I force push someone.
Nope, it was a full throw. It was
Yeah,
like a
I mean,
full...
she got slammed up against the wall. She was probably
yeah.
unconscious in there for a while.
Yeah, like she definitely saw some stars.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, she just comes back at, like, he shoves her into the fucking closet or whatever and kills all the droids, and then she just like walks out like, oh, thanks, sweetheart. Like,
Yeah. Thanks for throwing me violently instead of just like a gentle force push. Like,
so then they have this exchange of really bad dad jokes. And Padme says, oh, ever since I've known you, you've been playing with droids. And Anakin says, yeah, but I used to build them, and now I just take them apart.
Yep.
Right. So then
So
Anakin decides he's going to hotwire the ship because he's got a new plan, because he got his banana.
There is a plan now.
Right, he got his banana at the grocery store, so now he has to formulate another plan. And he's like, I'll hotwire the ship, but somebody needs to fucking clean this place up, because otherwise...
That's right. So that they don't know.
Right,
Yeah.
when somebody walks in here, they're going to know that I killed all the fucking droids, right?
Yep. And then Padme's like, I guess I'll clean this shit up then.
So she is stuck dragging all of the fucking droids into one of the turbo lifts.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fucking hilarious.
Because she's very begrudgingly doing it.
Ooh, somebody needs to clean this shit up, but I got to do this thing, playing on the computer. We're going to play asteroids.
He's basically telling her, clean up the droids, woman. Like,
right. Like,
that's
you're the woman
essentially
who do the cleaning. Where's your protocol droid? He can do it for you.
Clean it up. Clean this shit up.
This is why I built C-3PO for Mom, so I didn't have to fucking clean up my own mess.
It's like, that wouldn't have mattered. You guys are slaves.
Right. So at this point, Plo and Ahsoka talk a little bit, and I don't remember about what. I just wrote down what they did. And then
I didn't even write that down. It was a nonsense scene.
Yeah. Like it's...
If neither of us remember
it is
what
not
they
memorable.
Said, and I want to note, too, that I literally just watched the episode, say, about 2-3 hours ago.
Yeah, I was about to say I would have seen this scene about an hour ago, because I rewatched it right before we sat down to record.
Yep. I made no mental note of it whatsoever.
Got nothing.
So, anyways, what I did note is that Obi-Wan and Grievous are still fighting on the railjet.
Yeah.
So that's still going on. I do want to point out that at this point, Grievous only has 2 lightsabers.
Yes. 2 lightsabers, 2 arms, and the wrong number of fingers.
Yeah. I think we've seen it before. We've seen him with the sabers before. I just didn't make the mental note. I just went, for whatever reason in this fight I did. I was just like, oh shit, he only has the 2 sabers right now.
Yeah, it makes that reveal in Revenge of the Sith a little bit weirder when he's like, these will make a fine collection to my...
Another fine addition to my collection.
There we go. That's what the line is.
Yep. A fine addition. Yeah.
A fine collection for my collection.
Yes.
But, and he like,
'cause he has, like, the
pulls his
cape.
cloak open.
Yeah.
And puts some lightsabers in there. Because, I mean, I know it's for the audience sake and you would have not seen this stuff because it wasn't made, but thinking of this story as a whole and the animated series being a section of the whole, including the live action movies, it makes some of the other stuff goofy, like the hello there and you know, whatnot. But yeah, they're on this what'd you call it? A jet train?
A rail jet is what they refer to. I don't know if that refers to like the system or like if it's still like a train they're on or a jet. Because at some point, somebody says rail jet.
Okay.
So I made that note. I don't know any further etymology of said phrase.
Right.
So I still just think of them as big ol' space trains. So.
Yep. Space trains.
Space trains.
A space subway.
Yeah.
So did you see anything funny about this Grievous Obi-Wan fight?
No. What do you mean?
So they're on a train that's going forward, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan is in front. He's more forward on the train than Grievous.
Mm-hmm.
Grievous is like the end of the train working his way forward.
Yeah, he's towards the caboose.
Yes, he is towards the caboose. And he is just smashing the fuck out of the obligatory Clone Wars boxes that you need never show.
Yeah.
Which is totally cool. And I'm actually going to come back to those in a minute. But then he starts like jumping from like car to car. So this thing is moving in a forward direction.
Mm-hmm.
And they move pretty fucking quickly.
Yeah.
But Grievous is still able to like force jump like entire train car lengths forward while it's moving forward. Like if he jumped, it should move out from under him and he should be like, oh shit.
No, because the only thing he would have to worry about is air resistance.
Okay.
Because if you jump forward on a plane,
right,
you're still going to land like the 1 foot in front of yourself.
Right.
Right. So if you're standing at like row 10 and you jump forward, you're going to land in row 3. Because your momentum is being added to the momentum of the plane.
Right. So you're saying, but there should be air resistance because there is atmosphere and these are open cars.
Yes.
So when he jumps, even though he is jumping forward, there is air resistance and the train should be moving faster underneath him.
The question is, how much force does he have to hold to put his stance into it to hold himself onto it, right? Because it doesn't look like Obi-Wan is kind of leaning into the air resistance of this jet, this rail jet that's going,
Right.
So, assuming all things are good, like let's say you have 2 cars driving next to each other at 70 miles an hour.
Mm.
Theoretically, you should be able to jump from one to the other even on an open freeway because the air resistance won't be that bad.
Okay.
Right?
Here's the way I'm thinking of it though. Like if you were on top of a train,
Yeah.
right? Even if you are a super duper fucking jumper,
Uh-huh.
you're not going to be able to jump from the caboose to the engine. Like even if you can't jump from the caboose forward 2 cars to the dining car.
Yeah.
Right? And then jump forward 2 more to the sleeping car. And that's what
He's got them
Grievous,
cyborg
that's what
legs.
Grievous is doing.
He's got the cyborg legs. There's a
Okay.
lot of power in there. That and he
Okay.
does not skip leg day, even with the cyborg legs.
Yeah, I think he skips arm day.
Oh yeah, I don't. Does he need arm day? I don't. He needs to like read up some art of war, maybe. You know,
Yeah.
that's what he needs exercise on. So
Yeah.
read some Sun Tzu. You know.
So I said I was going to come back to these boxes, and
Yes.
on these boxes there's a small indentation. I say small; it's most of the size of the side of the box, right?
Yeah.
Now, in these shots, they are octagonal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little octagon that's like pressed into the side of the box. Watching this behind the scenes shit, I'm gonna have to write this guy's name down because I've seen him on a bunch of them, and
Yeah.
I don't really like referring to him as the guy who talks about
guy.
production, but that's all I got for right now. So he's talking about the design of these boxes, and he brought up somebody else by name, and he said these boxes drive this dude nuts because it depends on who is doing the rendering for the animation as to what shape it is, because
Gosh.
it's octagonal in the design, and then when you render it, you essentially like click box B, and that octagon changes into a circle. So like they're supposed to be circles, but if whoever is doing the rendering for that bit of animation and they don't click box B, they remain as octagons instead of being rendered as circles. So the guy's like, they're the same boxes in every episode. They look the same. They're designed the same, but sometimes you get octagons and sometimes you get circles. So it could even be the same boxes in what would be the same scene. And if they were rendered by different people and one person like doesn't check that box, they're going to switch back and forth between octagonal and circle labels on the boxes or indentations.
Interesting. But we don't. Yeah, we know nothing else about the boxes though, right? There's nothing. We don't know what's in them.
No,
we don't know.
that's. I mean, it is. It
Boxes.
seems like there's some sort of explosives because Dooku's not swinging lightsabers that fucking hard, and these boxes are blowing up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
at this point, General Grievous gives this terrible yell that does not sound anything like him. He just like lets out this yell and is like, "We're in full force lightsaber duel."
Yeah.
Which doesn't really last that long. And Obi-Wan, I guess, sees another train come in and straight just like he rolls off the side of the train that he's on, and then he like slashes up the side of the train as he's rolling off of it.
Yeah.
Which I didn't really understand this. I watched this episode several times, and like at first I thought that he like did some weird roll maneuver and like cut the coupling in between cars, and then like Dooku's car stayed Grievous's car stayed where it was, and Obi-Wan's car kept on going, or vice versa, right?
Yeah.
But as I watched it a couple more times, what he does is he rolls off the train, cuts the side of it, and lands on another train.
But it doesn't slow down Grievous's train though, right?
It does not. Like
I noticed that too.
The cut in the side has seemingly zero effect, like no purpose.
There's nothing that it does. I had a question about that too. So it sounds like you know just as much as I do about the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, it's I guess because it looks cool. Like that's the only thing that I got is it looks.
Does
cool.
does it direct Obi-Wan towards the other train, or?
I don't think so. I don't think it does anything.
Yeah, because my thought with you, it wasn't the coupling. I really thought he cut into like the engine of it to slow down Grievous's train. But then as the scene plays out, that train is still moving full speed.
Yeah, and even if that is the purpose of said lightsaber attack to a train, there's no payoff to it. Like, you don't see it because this scene ends like seconds later.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan rolls off the train, makes this cut, lands, and then like salutes Grievous like, adios, see you later, sucker. And then...
As if Grievous couldn't just jump onto the same train.
Right.
Despite everything we've already seen before.
Right.
So, yeah, that's what I saw out of it too. So
it was weird. I'm not really sure what's going on there.
Yeah.
So now we've got some bridge bullshit shenanigans going down, where
the droids return back to the Malevolence.
So Anakin and Padme, there's like 2 elevator doors in this bridge, and like Anakin and Padme get in one and the doors close, and then immediately the other one, the doors open and some droids walk out. And they look around and they're like,
nobody's here.
I guess repairs are done.
Yep. Because nobody's here, and therefore that's the only conclusion we can come up with.
Yep.
Let's not verify it. Let's not call it into the team that might have worked on it.
Nah, we'll just fucking...
Just hit it.
We're just going to make assumptions like no one's in here. So obviously that means the work is complete.
Yeah.
So
anyways, everybody returns back, or the Obi-Wan, Anakin, C-3PO, Padme, R2 make their return to the Twilight.
Correct. And they all kind of show up at the same time. And first we get 3PO and R2. And 3PO's like, are you sure you know where you're going? It's kind of a little callback to when they arrive on Tatooine. And 3PO's like, are you sure you want to go that way? That way looks treacherous. But in this episode, they call it dangerous. And then R2 responds with, this whole fucking ship's dangerous, dipshit.
Yeah.
And 3PO's like, well, I knew that. Like, maybe we should just wait. And then doors open. Anakin and Padme pop out. And Anakin's like, 3PO, what are you doing? Like, don't just stand there. Fucking do something. Like, let's go.
Let's get moving. Yeah.
So they're on their way to the elevator back into Twilight when Obi-Wan comes running around the corner, and instead of like hold the door, which people yell for the elevator, he's like, hold the ship.
Yeah.
So then they get on the ship and disengage and take off back towards good guy Star Destroyers. One question I had with the docking of this ship is that where they attach is like the spire that goes up to the bridge, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they dock with the top of the ship to the top of the Twilight to the side of the Malevolence.
Yes.
And then they take an elevator up to a platform and go through a door, and then they are oriented correctly on the Malevolence when they should like walk out the door and then like fall face first into the floor, because they would essentially be like walking out of the wall. So that being said, is it one of those things like in the Millennium Falcon where the orientation of certain areas of the ship changes? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Sort of. So like one person crawls up, one person crawls down.
Right. And they like, that's a vertical up down ladder.
Yeah.
But then when they get into on the Millennium Falcon, when the two gunners get into the seats, the ladder is behind them.
They're essentially
so there's like a gravity orientation shift from that shifts the horizontal and vertical.
Yeah. I think there's something like that going on. That was the only way. I noticed that too, that they docked with like the ceiling of the Twilight.
Yes.
And then they just kind of...
to what would be the wall of the Malevolence.
The Malevolence, yeah. So that's basically what I'm assuming is like somehow they're able to climb up, and then the gravity kind of slams them down or something like that, right?
Right. There's just kind of a weird gravity shift. What do you think that would feel like?
I feel like it would, like, do you know, like when you pop out of a water slide that still has like a 2 foot drop into the pool below?
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm imagining, right? So like they're jumping out of the twilight and then they immediately kind of like flop down. That's not what it's being shown.
Mm-hmm.
But that's with the Falcon, that's kind of what I always imagine. It's like they're climbing down or they're climbing up and then there's like a jump into it and then you kind of get gripped by the other gravity and then like twist it around.
Okay.
Right.
Whoops. Sorry about that.
You're okay.
I'm bumping into shit and knocking my microphone all over the place, making noise.
So, because it's like trying to move yourself on a gravitron at like a state fair or something like that, you know?
I have no idea what a gravitron is.
It's the big spinning contraption. So
That thing you see in space camp?
yeah, like it's just the big centrifuge, right?
Okay.
So you just you stand up against the wall, the thing starts spinning and the floor drops out below you and then you're stuck to the wall because of centrifugal force.
Yeah, that's not what I was thinking of. I was thinking of one of those.
Where you sit in the thing, it just starts
like-
spinning you around.
No, I was
You sit
thinking
in
of
the capsule?
like one of those gyroscopic sphere things that's like you like stand in it like this in like an X shape, and it like you strap your wrist and ankles and waist in, and then like it spins in all axes of orientation.
Just like the sick tube thingy.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. No. So the gravitron is just it's a big giant top that you're sitting in.
Yeah.
And it's just to show off centrifugal force, you know.
We have I don't know, past, present, or future. In the past, yes. In the present, I'm not sure. But at Six Flags over Mid America, is that what it's called? Six Flags St. Louis? I don't know. Whatever.
That one I don't know.
At the Six Flags near me, there
Yeah.
was one of those, and it was called Tom's Twister, and it was always like fucking broke down.
Who
I
is
don't know.
Tom? Why?
I don't know. It was just called Tom's Twister. Like that was the name of the ride.
Is it like named after like Tom Sawyer, like because you're in Missouri, or
I have no fucking idea. It was just called Tom's Twister, and it was always fucking closed because we imagined that. I have no proof of this, but I figured it was when I was a kid. We always figured it was either somebody got sick and fucking threw up in the thing,
yeah.
or it was broke down. And in which case, if it's constantly broke down, it's probably not that safe to begin with.
Yeah, which is weird if it's at a place that's like set down. Like I don't trust traveling fairs and carnivals, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just like a carny that's just like screw driving it together in the morning
Right.
and then is like taking tickets like an hour later, right?
Right.
But if it's a place that's like, oh, our job is to maintain all of these things and it's cemented into the goddamn earth.
Yeah, it was a built-in attraction in what looked kind of like a gazebo,
Yeah.
you know, but I think the ride was actually like sunk down into the ground partially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, that Six Flags I've not been to. I've only been to like 2 separate Six Flags, so
Yeah.
yeah. Nope, never made my way to that one. I've only been to the one north of Chicago. That one's Great America.
Yep.
And then the one north of LA is Magic Mountain. So
It's Six Flags Magic Mountain.
Six Flags Magic Mountain. That's the flagship Six Flags. I do believe they are still the record holder for most roller coasters in a single theme park.
No shit.
It used to be Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio.
Right.
Those are the 2 big competitors in the United States. So it's between Six Flags Magic Mountain and Cedar Point
Yep.
in Ohio. Ohio had it for a while, for like a good at least decade or so. And then Magic Mountain like threw down the gauntlet and was like, "Hey, we have 3 roller coasters coming out this year." And Cedar Point was like, "Excuse me, what?" So
That's funny.
yeah. Anyways, so back.
Yeah, to get back to this Clone Wars episode here, we need to destroy Malevolence, according to the title. So,
spoilers.
It's oh shit! Is that what happens?
So speaking of spinning, by the way.
Yes.
Actually, as I look at my notes.
Yep.
So
we said we were coming back to this, and we are.
So Anakin disengages the Twilight from the Malevolence. They start flying away. Grievous hops in a ship of his own, and a few other droid ships start following them, right?
Yeah, some vulture droids or hyena droids. Probably hyena droids now that I'm thinking about it, based on what they look like.
Yeah. So they're flying away back towards the Yularen and the other ships, right?
Yep. And the Twilight is being chased by said droids and Grievous that we just talked about, and Obi-Wan says, in no uncertain terms, says it's time for some clever tricks.
Yep. And the first thing Anakin does, starts spinning that ship.
Anakin says, I was thinking the same thing, and he spins it one time.
That's it. It's not even a fast spin. It's just like a...
It's like a lazy corkscrew.
Yeah, it's a slow corkscrew. It's like the corkscrew you find
a rotation.
Yeah. It's not like a good corkscrew you find like one of the aforementioned Cedar Point or like Magic Mountain. It's like the weird ones at like the local regional ones. It's just really slow.
Yep.
Once you're off of it, you're just like, oh, that was it. I waited 45 minutes for this 20-second ride. Like,
yep.
Fantastic. And the ships are all still chasing after them. But somehow they don't get hit, you know.
Yeah, because he tried spinning.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Grievous is flying in his ship, and this is, of course, the moment that Dooku calls him, and it was like, hey, what's going on? Are you guys coming back? You guys are making your way back, right?
Yeah, we are eagerly awaiting the arrival of this ship.
Yeah, like, I'm making dinner for you guys. Where are you guys at?
Where are you at, man? Don't embarrass me in front of my boss.
Yeah. Like, I have we're waiting. We told the server that you guys were coming.
Like, I can only hold this table for so long. They weren't even supposed to seat us until half our party was here.
Exactly.
But I convinced them, so, like, what the fuck?
Where are you guys?
We want to see the new ship. Like, everything's cool with it, right? There's no damage or anything.
Like, you guys are the ones with the presentation. You have the thumb drive. Bring that over to us.
Right.
So, anyways, what is Grievous' response? He just grumbles a little bit, and then
he hangs up on him.
Yep. Sorry, red dot. Like,
yeah, he just fucking hangs up on Dooku because, concurrently with what's going on, the droids on the Malevolence are like, "Sir, the hyperdrive has been fixed. Do you want us to like activate it?" And Grievous is like, yeah, fucking go to the secret hidden base in Sector 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Something like that.
Yep.
He says like green sector or something like that too, right? Or
no, it's just Sector 4, man. I wrote it down. And
right.
I looked it up on Wikipedia, so I got some info on that one.
Yeah. So Grievous is telling them to go, and then he'll meet up with them later.
Yes, he's going to meet him there, and so the droids put in said info to get to Secret Base in Sector 4.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently earlier, when Anakin was hotwiring the ship, what he did is he programmed it to crash into the fucking moon.
Yep.
So that's what happens.
Yep.
So it is...
And they don't even hyperdrive into the moon. They just literally just slow crash.
Yeah, it just turns toward the moon and starts driving that direction instead of like in orbit around the moon.
Yeah, he essentially just affixes like the rudder of the ship to just head towards the iceberg.
Yep.
Yeah. And
this is what's happening when Dooku Skypes in, and so Grievous is like, fuck it, and just hangs up. And
like,
then
it's not a good time, man.
He just takes off in hyperspace somewhere else after the Malevolence is destroyed. So I think that most of this episode was built around the idea that the creators and producers of this show wanted to see a ship crashing into a planet.
Yeah.
And it is about, if that is the case, it's about the lamest fucking payoff, because you don't even see like this big, super huge fiery explosion. It's like a secondary background fucking thing.
We see it from the viewpoint.
We watch people watch it happen.
Yes. And you just see like a tiny little fireball on the surface of the moon. Like, Pew. Yeah, you would essentially see what you would see if you were just looking at our actual Earth moon and we're hoping for a comet or a meteor or an asteroid to hit that same moon.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's
like that
scene,
one...
It's like that scene in Ant-Man where...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where they're fighting on the train set, and then like
and it backs out.
Everything is like super gigantic and very dramatic and everything. When you're in the perspective of Ant-Man, and then when it backs out to like the perspective of the room, you just see the Thomas the Tank Engine just like fall off the train tracks.
Yeah,
and, like that's it. Like,
that's all it is. Like, yeah, it's nothing. And then it just cuts to Anakin. He just goes like, "It's all part of the plan." Like, haha.
Right, like, because the plan doesn't matter as long as the person that is executing the plan is good.
Can make it. You just gotta make it happen. So that's it. That we go all part of the plan and fucking loud music credits.
Yep. I've got Grievous runs away. Boom. Cheers on the bridge. Dunzo.
Yep. That is it. That's that episode.
Yeah.
So,
thumbs up, thumbs down. What you thinking?
Yeah. I am giving this one a thumbs down.
I knew that was coming.
And it's definitely a more strong one. The last two episodes, I think I mentioned, will you remind me? I gave the last two thumbs downs as well, right?
Correct. All three of these got thumbs down from you.
I do feel like with like the first one, Rising Malevolence, like it wasn't like offensively bad. I was kind of along with the ride for that one.
Yeah, I think you said it was basically like just barely.
Yeah. And then Shadow of Malevolence, I'm like, okay, I mean, there's still problems with it. Again, not offensively bad. This one isn't offensively bad, but it is just solidly bad to me. Because when we're this far into an arc, and the wrap-up feels like filler, there's just a lot of things happening at once, and none of them seem really that significant when the main goal is just to destroy the ship.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, we could have just wrapped it up in the last episode with them getting on the ship in about 5 minutes, rerouting whatever needs to happen, and then moving on with life.
I agree. So I gave this one a thumbs up. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shadow of Malevolence, I had a bunch of issues with, and it barely got a thumbs up from me.
Yeah.
This one I enjoyed much more than that, but I agree with you. I kind of feel like this could have been a two-parter with just essentially like Rising Malevolence and destroying Malevolence. Like, we could have combined Shadow of and Destroy, and that would have worked just fine.
Yeah.
So,
like, even just taking this episode on its own, separate of the other two, it's still, the arcs that happen in this single episode still kind of are weird to me.
Okay.
Like the reasoning for Padme to be there is kind of just there's a lot of one-lining explanations.
There was so much, and there's so much one-lining in general as far as little quips and what I call them earlier, conveniences of dialogue. Like,
oh yeah,
it's ripe throughout this entire episode.
So yeah, that's why for this one, and I don't know if it's because we're just watching them. Like we're not technically binging these episodes, but we are watching them much faster than say when they aired, right? But I'm already kind of getting fatigued with like these lightsaber battles, where there's not, especially when they're between Obi-Wan and Grievous.
Yeah, it was kind of nice that in this episode it was short and quick. I mean, that was all probably within
just a minute or
maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, you see it coming when Grievous is smashing up these fucking boxes.
Yeah.
He jumps in, clish clash, they fucking throw some saber a little bit, and then Obi-Wan, like, ducks and rolls, salutes, I'm out. Like, peace out, bitch. Like, don't have to worry about it.
See, my problem is just, like, I get that we're in prequel territory for episode 3, but nonetheless, like, you can still craft an episode that can have like some tension, whereas I'm kind of just like passively like, oh, I guess this is just another thing that's happening between episodes 2 and 3. Great. Like, right. Moving on. Like, Padme and Anakin do meet at some point. Like, so that's kind of been my, so even just taking this episode as a standalone piece, like not even judging it against the entire arc of the last or the 3 Malevolence episodes together. This one in particular kind of takes too many steps for me with weird tonal shifts and jokes and stuff like that.
Yeah, there definitely was a lot of jokes, a lot of quips, a lot of
droid speakage.
Which I don't mind the droids. In general, I like the quippiness that can come out of this show. In general, I like those little references and callback, like that subtle hint of what they call it. It's not Docking Bay 94, but it was something very similar to that. I will find it here in just a second. But that stuff I like. This one was about as packed to the gills as you could get with all that stuff. There's not much more that you could add to this, and it's borderline over the top and unnecessary. But, it's good. It was Rail Substation 94 is what they call it.
Yeah.
So, all of that being said, it was still within acceptable parameters of enjoyment for me, where it was almost too much, but it wasn't too much.
Like, it was approaching it, but it's still...
Yep, I could see it coming to, I could see that line coming to the point where I'm like, all right, enough's enough. Like, just get this fucking episode over with.
Yeah.
But it didn't quite get there. I still enjoyed it a lot. I liked the idea of what was going on. And I thought the idea of this fucking multi-train unit thing in the middle of a starship was a well-executed idea.
Yeah.
It was interesting enough of a thing to kind of base your the plot of your story around. Like, really, this episode was based on 2 plot points. Like, 1, train inside Malevolence to show like how things get around. Yeah. Won't that be cool? And 2, we want to see a fucking big ass ship crash into a planetary body. Like, that's it. Everything else was built around those 2 things.
And then they just needed to fill in 22 more minutes.
Right.
Or there's 2 things, so you got 2 minutes filled.
Right. So we need 20 other minutes of stuff. So that's why we've got
firefighter droids.
We've got three fucking times making these jokes about spinning.
Yeah.
Like, and it's almost the fucking fortune cookie is about a plan. Like, it's not the plan, it's like the guy that does the plan, right?
Yeah.
And it defines this episode in more ways than one, because it's
Yeah.
like our plan is to include these two things. Like we want to have a fucking train set, and we want to have a moon crash. Like, so it's not the plan. Like, it's just the dudes doing the plan. So like we'll just put all this other stuff in there and like
Just
pack
get it
things
through.
down, put some duct tape on some shit, and fucking
Yeah.
literally spray paint a set of something else. Like, it's all gonna, and it comes together and it works fine. It's entertaining.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm still not there yet with this one. My last problem too, and I know we're still early in, and because this is season 1, episode 4.
Correct.
The facial animation is
Isn't there
still so stiff. It's really bad on Ahsoka for some reason. Like Anakin and Padme are sort of fine, and I think Obi-Wan is probably the best of the group.
Yeah, see, I was thinking that Padme was probably the best, and like Obi-Wan's eyes don't move right. It's like his eyes will track, and then his head will follow it. It's kind of bizarre.
It's still definitely like it has the texture wrap of something that seems modern regarding the television budget. Again, everything is still like, with the movie I was especially harsh on because it was released theatrically. With the TV show, I'm gonna still this is me giving it somewhat of a break.
Right.
But I still agree in the animation, especially the way you just described it. There's definitely like a point A, point B, head needs to go from here to here, and then that's all it does. There's no subtlety in that.
Right. You remember going to like Chuck E. Cheese or something when you're little?
Yeah.
When you were little. Did you ever?
Those animatronics.
Yeah.
And stuff.
So the animatronics on stuff like that, or like, we've got the Arch here in St. Louis, which is supposed to be like a landmark and a big tourist attraction, right?
Yes.
And they just redid the museum that's like built underneath it, like underground. There's like an underground museum, which is kind of cool. They just like redid that, but there was some animatronics there for like fucking, like gives you little history lessons or whatever for the Midwest area, Plains area and whatnot. But the animatronics there are like the same thing, because they quote unquote like talk to you, when you walk up, like you push a button or something and it tells you a story, and when they'll like come to life and whatever, and then when they move their head, like their eyes will move to the left, and then their head will move to the left, and their eyes will recenter. So, and that's the way that Obi-Wan's eyes are kind of everybody's, but I saw it most on Obi-Wan's.
Most on him. Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a vacant stare, and the eyes will track, and then the head tracks with it. So there's something a little bit off that I know for sure gets ironed out later, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, because the few episodes like Clone Cadets and the one following, it definitely wasn't as noticeable there.
Supply lines.
Supply lines. Yeah, there would be times where it kind of creep up, but it definitely wasn't as because it's always like the end bits too, right? Where you kind of naturally ease into a head turn,
right?
But it's like that transition time isn't enough where somebody's head whips over and then stops, right?
Correct.
And for me, she's not in this episode as much, but Ahsoka for whatever reason gets it the worst, I feel like.
Yeah. Speaking of which, one thing real quick, you were talking about budgets, or you were talking about this being a TV show and budgets, whatever. So I don't know if we mentioned it on air or not during an episode. I know you and I talked about it, but the budget per episode was roughly $1 million.
Yeah.
And the budget for the movie was like $8 million.
For the whole thing, yeah.
For the whole thing, which was 4 parts, so it essentially got doubled.
Mm-hmm.
Each 22-minute segment got $2 million instead of $1 million.
Yeah.
So we're looking at about $1 million budget per episode, which really puts this entire 125 episode story arc at about $130 million.
spread out over 6 years. Right?
Spread out over 6 years.
Because then let's use it, comparing apples to apples, looking at just the movie.
Right.
Right. So 8 million for the movie is what you said, right?
Right.
So for comparison, just because it's the one I know off the top of my head, Tangled, which was released by Disney 2 years later in 2010,
Right.
that had a budget of about $100 million.
And that's what, an hour and a half long?
Something like that, yeah, like
And this is
145.
46, just over 46 hours worth of production to do for 125 million.
Yeah.
130 million. That's working with nothing to get something. Yeah.
You're not working with a lot for this.
Right. Yeah. Kudos to Dave Filoni and his crew for doing all of this, and like again in one of those in that behind the scenes thing that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
When they're talking about production, they even say like, hey, these are early episodes in an early season, so we didn't have as much to work on. The further they get through, they already have everything that they built for season 1, 2, whatever.
So they can just grab those assets.
So they can use those. They can use those assets. They can retexture them. They can, put a new wallpaper on it essentially, and they have it.
And you have remember too, especially with a series like this, because it's one thing to like DuckTales, you're just drawing that. There's not much that changes with drawing per se, right?
Right.
You can get into like CG aiding to help you along and stuff like that, but the base of that is still somebody sitting down with a pencil and a piece of paper, right?
Right.
But like with a computer to be able to draw something, it depends on the computing power and the programs and all that. So for a series that stays on the air 6 years, that technology is just going to get better and better every year.
Correct.
So that also helps it along. Yeah.
And we're talking about something that came out 10 years ago.
Yes.
So we're talking about something that was in development 12 years ago.
Yeah. Before the first iPhone even came out. Like
right.
We're talking like a pre-iPhone world,
Right.
Everybody was still using flip phones. Touch screens weren't really a thing.
Right. T9 texting.
Yep. Yeah.
Like,
you want a B, you have to hit number 2 twice. Yeah.
Right.
Unless
we're a little bit past AIM and AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah.
But we're probably still in the MySpace era.
Yeah, MySpace.
Maybe at the end of MySpace, like
you got your
the beginning of Facebook or whatever.
Top 5, your top 5 friends.
I don't even know what that is.
From MySpace. Yeah. Because Tom was always your first friend. And
Tom from Tom's Twister.
Yes. So Tom from MySpace also owned Tom's Twister. We have uncovered the truth.
Yes. Because MySpace Twister was that it doesn't flow off the tongue. So
no. So this is like the world of like GeoCities was still a thing. I would say right about now.
GeoCities might have been gone by then.
Maybe was Zanga still a thing then? It was like Zanga and was it like Blogger was just starting, I would say.
I don't know.
All right, Blogger or Blogspot, one of those two or something like that.
Blogspot for sure.
Yeah. So that's why I want to be careful to definitely judge it on fair contextual terms.
Yeah, we try to keep our criticism relevant.
Being fair is kind of my main thing. So I'm definitely not trying to judge it up against the Tangleds of the world, right? But nonetheless, just if you're gonna embark on a animated computer show,
right,
there still has to be some sort of like level of standard to just make sure I don't disconnect from a character, right?
Right.
And the show still hasn't gotten there yet, you know.
I think it will. I think it will for you. It might take a little bit.
Yeah.
Before we wrap this thing up solid, to give a little preview of what's to come. We are actually pretty, as far as where we're jumping around in the timeline in this thing, we're actually pretty good for the next like 10 episodes or so.
Oh, okay. Makes it easy for me
because
too.
we're going to be finishing off the rest of season 1, and there's only one episode jump, and it's because we already covered episode 16 of season 1.
Yeah.
Earlier.
As the prequel to the movie.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that was The Hidden Enemy is season 1, episode 16. We're currently on season 1, episode 4. But from here through the end of season 1, we've just got 105, 106, 107, blah, blah, blah. And all we have to do is skip 116.
Okay.
So for the next like 15 episodes, we've got one break in order of release.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we jump around a little bit at the beginning of season 2. Yeah. So.
All right. Sounds good.
Then we got that, but that's all I got for today. I know we're running.
Yeah, we're running real long.
This show runs long anyway, but we're running long even for us. So
yeah.
I think we should wrap this up. Shouts out to Lindsay. Email her at strangefantasymusic@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Shouts out to Kevin Warren. Hit him up on Twitter. Like his stuff. He's at They Call Me K-Dub. Our social media stuff, Twitter and Instagram, are both at Not The Nerds. Email at notthenerdspodcast@gmail.com. Facebook at Not The Nerds Podcast, because some dude snagged up at Not The Nerds right before we got it.
That's fine. We still have a page. It works.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't think I told you yet, actually, so I will reveal it to you. I submitted us to TuneIn. I haven't gotten anything back yet.
Okay.
So
cool.
Hopefully we will be
like
available.
TuneIn Radio?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
So if that's in the works, hopefully I get something back, but I have submitted it. Either way, you can listen to us on iTunes and Google Play. Please give us a review and subscribe to us at whatever respective platform you have aligned yourself to. But hopefully for people that use Alexa and Echo products, where you can just kind of say, hey, sorry if I'm setting off anybody's thing. One
hilarious.
just set off here. I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming. I just set her off. So I don't know what she was responding to. So if you have an Echo, hopefully by next week's episode, I will have an update on whether or not that has gone through. Otherwise, we can post it on our social media. So hopefully you can just ask, hey, Echo, play These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For. And hopefully that will be a thing. Because the future is cool. We can do that.
The future is cool. Speaking of the future, next week is Rookies, season 1, episode 5. So come back for that. We're gonna talk about clones during these Clone Wars, because we had 0 clones this week. So
yeah, that was a strange omission for a show called The Clone Wars, but sure.
So
but
next week
war,
on These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For, Rookies, we got some clones coming up. It's going to be good. Right.
It's been a pleasure talking to you for this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sitting down and talking the Clone Wars with me, and we will talk to all you nerds next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.